Hello, welcome back to the Detour podcast. I'm your host, Dan Jones, joined by four-time national road champion from Australia, Johnny Trevorrow. And Johnny, we are back. The Detour is officially back, rebranded. We've got a website, thedetour.online. You're doing articles. I'm working the guts out of you. And we're back doing podcasts. And we've got a very special guest to kick things off.
Yes, Dan, it's great to be back. It's great to have you so switched on. As you say, we've got a website now. It's a ripper. And you've been writing some good stories too, buddy. So, if people jump onto the Detour website, .online, and they'll see all the good yarns. And I'm really excited about what's coming up. The Tour of Flanders was just out of this world, the Ronde. And this Sunday, of course, we've got the Paris Roubaix, which we're very excited about.
One thing we have to say at the top of the show is we wouldn't be able to do the Detour like we're doing it now, which is we're really focusing on providing, interesting, fun content, but not behind a paywall. We're doing it with the support of a couple of key partners at the moment from the Club Detour, which we've got. This is the exclusive hoodie, Johnny, that we've got. And they've been some special people. It's part of our network, but if anyone does want to get involved, they can send you an email directly. But a big shout out to those partners who are part of the Club Detour.
Yes, as you say, most podcasts, you have to pay to get on them. But we've got, because of our Club Detour guys and gals, it opens up for you to watch the Detour and to look at the website.
And on the website, what would really help us is, first of all, if you can let everyone know that we're back online, we're on socials, you can jump on the website and it'll take you to our Instagram page, but also hit the sign up button where we're going to give you exclusive invites to events. We're going to do a kickoff for the Paris Roubaix this Sunday at the Bleak House Hotel, saying at 6 o'clock. That one's going to be a bit of an open slather. We've got some select people that we've invited down, but we do want to do an unofficial launch for the Detour. It's going to be a really fun night. And to kick things off, we've got a very special guest, as we said, in Matt Hayman, who obviously won Paris Roubaix 10 years ago now, Johnny, can you believe? And it was a really great chat because he talks about obviously how the sport's evolved, his role as a DS. We touch on the 2016 Roubaix, but it's always a good chat with Matty.
He's a legend. And it's like a Rocky movie when you look back at that 10 years ago when he won Paris Roubaix. Broken arm, everyone wrote him off except for Matt, who kept training on the home trainer. Even a week and a half before he went down for a couple of races in Spain, the team did not believe he would be starting in Paris Roubaix. But not only did he start it, he did one of the great rides of all time.
Well, I didn't believe he was going to ride it, and I was giving him shit about it like 2 nights out when he first rolled up the hotel. And, when he said he was in good form and that, I said, turn it up, mate. And the day itself, I just remember going into the velodrome and Shane Bannon, the boss of the team, the general manager, he went to go in and I couldn't get in with my pass. And he famously gave me his pass so I could go and film inside the velodrome because it's very restricted on how many people can get in there. And obviously when Hayman won and I was screaming like a little schoolgirl, and then after the race I went to the bus and I went to hug Bannon and he pushed me away and he said, Dan, I had one big goal in my life and that was to see one of my riders win Roubaix. And here I was in the bus and you robbed me of that. I wanted to be the first guy to hug him. And you took that from me. And he said it because he was so dry. I go, shit, sorry, mate. He goes, nah, fantastic, mate. It was awesome. Yeah. So, no, it's great memories. But we're going to be able to relive all this with Matty. So enjoy the relaunch of the Detour. And as we said, jump on the detour.online. Get behind the website. Tell your mates. Thanks for the support and enjoy the podcast.
You both played a big part in this sport.
Try and do whatever you want. You can always cut it.
Took a cab home in the Magna Rosa.
Jones, let the chaos begin. Cycling stories made to mayhem rolled in. It's a detour, proudly unpredictable. Laughs, hot takes, and stories unrepeatable. If you want straight lines, you're on the wrong track. Once you're on the detour, There's no turning back.
All right, we've got the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Hayman, live from HQ Central at Paris Roubaix. Matty, first of all, welcome back. The Detour's back, and you're our first guest in the relaunch Detour. You must feel immense pride.
So it hits me here. Thanks, guys. Thanks, and it's great that you're back. Is this all the classics tour? How long are we going for?
Forever.
You reckon, Johnny?
Forever.
Yeah. We're relaunching it, and our plan is, we're going to do the classics, the Giro, the tour. Just going to keep going.
Well, not only that, we didn't talk about a relaunch. We're doing a launch party at the Bleak House Hotel on Sunday, and we've framed it. We're just jumping on your coattails, Matty. We're framing it as a tribute to Matt bloody Hayman. 10 years since he won Paris Roubaix. And we've got you on all the posters. Yeah, no, we're really milking it, mate. But how does it feel on a serious note? I mean, 10 years, a lot of people on paper, it feels like a long time, but it really doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
No, it's a bit confronting to realise that it's 10 years already. I guess at the end of last year, a few people, started to reach out for some interviews and so on, and it's like, 10 years. It's great that it's in the spotlight again, but it has gone quickly. And before you know it, I've also been a director for quite a while now. So
one of my favourite bits of that vision, I mean, of course, we're all excited, and you coming from your injury, and it's just a fairy tale. But when you actually cross the line, and Dan Jones is having to actually convince you that you did actually win. You knew you'd won. You put your hands up, but then you just didn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, well, who does? Like, that's not something that happens to a normal person. It's normally the freaks that win those races. And even though I had been trying, I'd been doing my best for the last 15 years. It felt quite surreal. And there was that moment when I did throw my hands up. That's not. I really wanted to get on the podium. And it was like kind of a split second just before the hands went up. Like, there's definitely no one up the road, right? So I didn't want to pull one of those. And it was, I kind of knew, but I just needed that confirmation. I didn't want to roll around to the other side of the track and have guys kind of with their hands in their heads in their hands going, oh, he's made a fool of himself. There's actually someone up the road. I was pretty sure we were racing for the win, but it's not something that happens to me very often. I mean, I think the, Commonwealth Games and a couple other races, but it's not something that happens very often.
Well, I've got to admit, Matty, that whenever I'm having a down week or whatever, I often revisit the old backstage Paris Roubaix. That's the one. I think it's obviously the fact that you won, but geez, that Gladiator soundtrack. When you put that over the emotion.
You put yourself in a bit of a lockdown there, didn't you? You went home and you worked out for a few days, and I got a couple of messages from you saying, it's coming and it's going to be a good one. And it has stood the test of time. I get, that video, people stop me still and talk about that video, and you're not the only one. I think people have used it. I think the music's a bit over the top. It's made it all emotional, and it makes me emotional. Didn't need to go that far, but there's quite a few people have used that. Some sporting teams have told me, I think sport is about persistence and resilience and going through hard times. And that story kind of rings true with a lot of sporting teams and just individuals, people that have said that, I've showed the kids that, resilience is kind of a good thing to have.
But when you look at the script of that, obviously we're going to move on to, this year's Paris Roubaix, but we have to touch on a couple other things where you do the intro on the bus, and we did that, obviously. I used to love going to you for the intro.
One take,
experience. Yeah. And you were so relaxed the night before where I was winding you up going, oh, you got to start, mate. You go, my form's pretty good. Oh, what are you talking about, mate? You haven't been racing, just winding each other up. But I just remember how relaxed you were. But that line you gave at the intro where the best advice you gave, and and to never give up. And then you look at the vision of with like 18 Ks to go and you fall off the back and 9 times out of 10, a normal person, the race is over. But that whole mantra of always keep riding, that surely it must make it easier as a sports director where you're trying to pass on stuff where you can literally prove, hey, this actually works.
It does in a way, but at the same time, I try not to talk about my career or my results. It's not about me anymore. I'm not really rolling that one out every time. It's harder in my
I wouldn't have made it as a DS, mate.
Yeah. You would have just been bringing up. When I kicked, these goals and
9 against one Thaggy, thirds, under 18s. Yep. Even the kids, they're sick of me talking about it. But yeah, I mean, but the script, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, and it was something that I had attached, and you know, that was my race. But I think what you touched on there was the fact that that I was relaxed, and you know, it's something that I still go back. I still talk to my sports psych who was who worked with me when I was going to Junior Worlds when I was 17, 18 years old, and it was about you know, knowing you've done the work and not overthinking it and going in relaxed. And through breaking my arm there and having that time off really made me just go to the race to enjoy the race and be involved in it. And I think the other years, and you were around for the other years too, Jonesy, that I was just getting a little bit, you know, had that kind of pressure on myself. It has to happen today. I have to get a result today. Today's the day that, you know, I don't have to ride for a teammate, that I have to do it. And I think, it was a combination of just going in there with, you know, the knowledge of doing 15 times before, but also being super relaxed and just enjoying racing my bike.
I loved talking to Matty Wilson about it because he was one of the DSs that day. And even though you were still talking yourself up afterwards with training on the home trainer, got the special brace and everything to do it, they didn't really think you'd be able to. And it was and you kept bringing it up to them. And Matty said it was only the week before. They said, "Oh well, look, with this experience, you might as well start." You know, they didn't really believe you were going to be up to finishing that race.
No, look, I went down to Spain, and that was kind of like, I think, a bit of a litmus test for the team. Like, we'll send him down to Spain and do a couple of one-day races because Tour of Flanders was probably a bit of a big, tall ask. And I went down there, and I was in the breakaway on the Saturday and went pretty deep. Got a good bunch of racing in, and then the Sunday I actually rode on the front all day, and Michael Matthews won the race. And so I was in the car going back to the airport, getting updates on Tour of Flanders, and again pushing. And it was pretty much like, well, if you come to the recon on Wednesday and you get over the cobbles, we'll you know, kind of consider it. And I was actually flying on Wednesday, to be honest. I don't show it, but in the recon I was actually moving pretty well. So. It was my coach at the time too, who he sent me an email. I actually tried to find it 2 days ago. I was looking through my old emails. So Kevin just sent me an email and said, "Mate, the numbers that you did in Spain for those 2 races, you're super fresh, but you're hitting top numbers. You know this race inside out. You should actually line up with confidence. You know, don't just go there to ride it. You should be pretty confident." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And I talked with Wilson about, you know, should I go on the breakaway? Should I do this? You know, at the time, both Jens Kokler and Luke Durbridge were having pretty good seasons. They were in the finals of most of the classics, and they were, you know, with good reason, they were the leaders of the team. And I just had a bit of a free roll, and they knew if I got into a race situation that I would, you know, use my knowledge to help them out. And even going in the breakaway was not really planned.
Was the sheriff the DSs for those Spanish races?
I can't remember, to be honest.
I was going to say, if he was, he's got a good eye for talent. He would have said, "Yeah, I'll back Matty in, guys. He's right. He was on the front. Matthews won. Give him a crack." Yeah. So I'm surprised you didn't thank the sheriff for your Roubaix win, mate. If he was. But yeah, I mean, like obviously modern day cycling, like how much has changed in the sport from way back in 2016? Because my brain, I can't keep up with the tactics, the nutrition. I mean, people are washing their hands now when they're making food on the bus. I mean, it's just a different era.
Not in your day, eh?
Yeah.
No, you would not. You would struggle, mate. You would struggle. Things have changed. There's no more lie downs in the back of the bus anymore. That's frowned upon.
That's done.
For staff, that is. No, yeah. Look, I've got to keep up with the tactics too, and the level is just really high. The number of young riders that are able to come in and compete, pretty much within the first 2 years. There used to be a bit of a period of adjustment, and when I grew up, going back to my first years, it was almost like the young guys needed to be put on the front for a few years to be taught kind of a lesson and be beaten down, and then you could build them up again. And nowadays they're coming in just kind of ready to race Grand Tours or monuments in the front without any experience. And they're able to, it's not just they're talking, they're actually doing it. The level across the board is higher. So, a climb that would normally split the bunch or would normally, have the bunch in groups, just doesn't anymore. And one of the big takeaways from Flanders I saw on Sunday, it was just like every group, the best people everywhere, but then they're all just riding full bore. Like the first 5 guys were all individual on the road, 50K to go, 15 seconds apart. There's not a lot of tactics out there. Everyone just rides full everywhere they go, and I think Pog's kind of changed that with his, really tries to get as many kilojoules into every. He is the best rider, so he just makes every race as hard as possible, and leaves with 100K to go. So it's So we just you got to adjust to it, and this will be the tactics for a while, and they will adjust soon. I mean, like every era, there'll be a change. There was an era where Sky was bossing the Tour de France with different tactics than had been done before, and you just have to evolve as a team, as a group, and look for your opportunities. So yeah.
It seems the era of riding a few races to find some form is gone, because the Pog's only ridden 3 races this year, three classics, and won them all.
3, I guess you're always right when you win. That's one thing. Yeah. You did everything right when you win. No, yeah. So obviously the training camps and the level of the training is pretty high. The science behind it. He's already, the world's best bike rider, and he can obviously train hard enough to be ready for those races. He doesn't need to go to any training races. But also the other riders, there's a little bit of a push recently to race a little bit more. We went from kind of, in my era, over racing. We were doing way too many race days and being pretty mediocre sometimes, particularly for the workers in the team. We cut that back a lot, but then UAE's also, they're racing quite a lot, although Pog's only picking the ones he wants to win. The level's pretty high, and there's more and more race days, more pressure on, I guess, the guys to perform every time. You don't kind of ease into the season now. Tour Down Under's full on. UAE is so important for so many teams with sponsors. And then you're straight into Europe. There's no kind of easing into things anymore. No training races.
And what you just touched on before, Matty, was the speed now and the depth of talent in the peloton. That's the things that gets me. One, the speed of every race, right from the fire the gun, and they're going. But also, as you said, you can have a climb normally that would, at a pace that would normally split the field in half, and they're just about all getting over it. Yeah.
I mean, guys are talking about having 20, 30 watts more than 4 or 5 years ago. And 4 or 5 years ago, they were getting results with those numbers, and now they're just another bike rider. The level, I think it's the young guys as well coming through, the level of information that's available for everybody through the juniors. Obviously, looking to the junior teams and the development teams who are also highly professional now. So you've got 18, 19-year-old kids that have got as much information about how many carbs per hour they need to be consuming, what kind of training they need to be doing to be, they can go and test themselves with Strava times. So they've got, they've all got power meters. It's, when I started, there was 4 or 5 power meters in Australia, and they were for the world's best track riders, and now anybody who's in this sport at this level, they're all training every single day, and it's all that data is being used. So yeah, the levels high. I do hope that the tactics still play a part, and I hope that there is a bit of a, as that field, as it kind of levels off, that we kind of go back to some more tactical races where course knowledge, rider knowledge, and tactics play a role. Last Wednesday, we had Dwarsdorf Flanders here in Belgium, and I think it was close to 49k an hour average speed for the race, which is just obscene. And I used to say kind of average 42k an hour, and now you've got to put in the average speed.
You'd win a bloody team time trial with those 15 years ago.
185k, 49k an hour average speed. It was 2 kilometers an hour faster than any other rate of that race.
It was weird, actually, because Wout van Aert, we put him the most awesome ride. He demolished everyone, and then and himself, as it turned out, he didn't win it.
Well, he got caught with 150 meters to go, but he was also off the front for the last 50k, and the average speed was 49k an hour. So. So I hope that the tactics still play a part, and the course knowledge and your ability, and just like I was saying with the training, it's also from our side. The riders know we have more computers in the car. We've got more data to go off, and so all of those. Everything's just becoming more and more defined. So everybody knows where every corner is. Everybody knows the exact wind speed. Everybody knows the numbers and the results from every rider and every breakaway. As it becomes more professional, it's getting harder and harder to find those 1%.
How do you go with that different evolution? Like we were joking earlier about, 10 years ago, but my brain's rattling for things like the Soigniers. Like everyone has got their own measurements of carbs in their bottles, and you're saying you got more compute. Like, how do you go even with the staffing and logistics? Like that just adds more and more layers to the whole process, or has it become more seamless now because everyone's used to it?
Yeah, look, I think the nutrition has been a big one. I think there's been a lot of talk about it. It still comes up that there was a period in my career where, we were trying to get the body to run on fats, as it was a really efficient fuel source. So we were kind of starving our body, and now they're doing the exact opposite. And that's, within a 15, 20-year time period, going from, trying to just eat omelets and be in ketosis almost, to now just, almost finding out how far the body can go with ingesting, as many carbs as possible. And at the time, I was still struggling to make weight, and these guys are as skinny as they've ever been, and they're eating 3-4 times as much as I ever did. They're just burning rocket fuel at the moment. It's we've got more staff as we get bigger as an organisation, it's also the guys know. The guys are pretty in tune with what they need. And the bottle points, there was a period there where the bottle points became key. We started feeding outside the feed zone. The UCI's brought in some rules which have contained that a little bit. It was helped through COVID, which I think is a good thing. I think we actually probably in the sport could take a few things out, like less bottle points, make guys come back to the car. That'll free the bunch up a little bit. It puts a lot of stress on the team when you go to races like the Tour de France, where you have to have your staff out all day trying to give out bottles, as well as do their other job, which could be a nutritionist, a physio, and they're out, running around France trying to get to a bottle point to make sure that someone gets their 60 grams of carb after 2.5 hours of racing.
Oh, I used to hate that when Lorenzo would go, "Hey, come on there, Johnsy," and he put me 20k to go on a flat leading into a sprint. I'd be out there in 40-degree heat, sunstroke, And then I cracked the shits that day, and I said, Lorenzo, you can jam the bottles up your ass, mate. And let's just say that didn't go down well, Matty. You used to be a good guy, eh? Always about yourself, eh? But it's true though. It just creates so much added stress, like logistics and all that sort of stuff. Like, you know,
it has got a little bit better now. So the UCI is enforced that there's certain bottle points, so it's pretty staggered. All the teams have to kind of do the same amount, which I think is a really good call, because there was a bit of an arms race to just see how many people you could get to the Tour de France and how many bottles you could get out, and it knocks on to ice water and ice, because the cooling strategies are also better. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it's all bad. I think it's great that we can see that guys are going faster, that they're achieving more. I think it's great that there's opportunity in aerodynamics, there's opportunity in development. It's great for our sponsors that we're always moving forward, we're getting faster. So yeah, I don't want to come across as the good old days. I hope that we can still find that essence of racecraft, and it's not just a numbers game, because I think it's really important to still have that racecraft, and I believe it's still there, but I just would like to see it come back more to the fore as an ability to win.
Now, I was just going to say, get Matty to go through the year so far for Team Jayco AlUla.
Can we start now, or
yeah, mate,
all the way.
No. So yeah, we had some changes, and we've started a new 3-year cycle, and start off like Mauro Schmidt has been incredible. Not only does he have the best kit in the peloton with that Swiss national champions jersey, it's such an iconic jersey, and he seconded Tour Down Under, went on to Cadell's. We really tried to go after that win again. He was a defending champion, and ended up 4th, but we threw everything at the race. He went on to the Middle East and won in Muscat, and Plappy was up there in UAE. So yeah, we had a really good solid start to the year. Milan Sanremo Vendrame, our new Italian signing, was up there with a 6th place, which for an Italian in Sanremo, and not having Michael Matthews there, which has been a massive blow for this period. Bling was really focused on Milan Sanremo and this whole period through to the Ardennes, and would have been in Flanders. So it's left a bit of a hole for us, but I think it's, somebody like Vendrame has been able to step up, and we've had, all through Trino Adriatico, he was riding really well. Ben's have some solid start to the season, and is moving in as he preps going in towards the Giro. So yeah, really some positives. So I had some accidents and some guys out. Losing Matthews was a big blow, particularly for me doing those races. I'm responsible for Sanremo, Flanders, and yeah, when you miss a guy like that, it just an example was when you see Red Bull. They've had a good classics, and then Remco comes in, and the guys just are able to really step up and deliver him. And I'm sure we would have been able to do that for Bling if he'd been here. So,
how is he now? When's he coming back?
That's a good question. When he's coming back, look, it was quite a hefty accident. Both arms in plaster and quite some damage done. He's back on the bike indoors. He's got some more doctor's appointments. He's got some more rehab to do. I think it's probably too early to know now when he'll be back, but I know he'll want to be at the Tour de France. It's just how much of a lead-in, because nobody wants to be at the Tour if they're not at their best. You don't go to the Tour just to ride around for 3 weeks. So as long as he can get enough work in, I'm hoping that he'll be able to make that. And that should be the aim, but you've got to have a decent level. You can't just come back with 2 weeks of training and do the Tour.
I checked in with Bling on Instagram.
Did you?
Dropped into his DMs. Just asked how he was going. Yeah, it's all right. Although I pushed too hard. Like I should have said the couple of messages of just how you going, then hit him up to come on the podcast. But I went like straight away, and he's just seen through it, and he's going, "Oh, right,
left
mate."
one unread.
Yeah. But he did say that he was quite lucky it wasn't worse, and I thought, "Geez, was it like a training accident or whatever?"
Yeah. And I mean, I think we all do that. You know, you break your collarbone and go, "Oh, that could have been worse," and then you punch your lung and you go, "Oh, that could have been worse." I mean, I think that's just kind of the bike rider mentality. Could have also been a lot better. He could have maybe not had a crash and been up in San Remo. But that's all of us. I think that's a coping mechanism for all of us. And the next thing you do after you check out a hospital is you look at your race calendar and try and plan a comeback. And I mean, we were just talking about it actually on the coaches call in the DS meeting that I was on before this. And I mean, his professionalism in these situations is second to none. Like, okay, he was out of action and he could be feeling sorry for himself and sitting on the couch, but no, the moment he was able to walk, he's been walking. The moment he's been able to do some rehab, he's been doing rehab. He's in the gym. He's doing everything he can. You know, I don't even think he could feed himself, but he was already thinking about a comeback. And you got to admire somebody, you know, that you know, I was trying to say, well, here's an opportunity to spend some time with the family, but he just wanted to get back at it.
Well, I remember a story of a rider 10 years ago. He had a bad crash.
I know, but I mean, my advice
and he got on the home trainer and he said, "Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not. I'm taking it serious."
Yeah, I mean, my advice to myself in that situation would have been just take it easy, go easy on yourself, and spend some time with your family. And I guess our identity is so closely tied with being a professional and being at the races that if you don't have that, if you're not riding, you're not racing, you're not training, you've lost your identity for a bit. So, yeah, I admire it. And I don't know what else.
But is that the good part about being a DS in the current era, where you don't have to give them the rev up and the professionalism, as you said, and that they're doing the right things and they've got that chip? Because that's what's always fascinated me about the top echelon of professional sports people in any sport, is they've got that chip that, as you said, they could do what normal people do, but they've got this chip that gets them back on the horse and get focused to the next goal, the next challenge. And it's just that process.
Yeah. I mean, not all riders are the same. So I think that's the role of the DS too, is to kind of, not identify, but just work out who you're dealing with, what motivates them, what their ambitions are, where they can be best used, and then got to bring that back in what's the best interest of the team. Ultimately, I feel like I'm working for the 100-odd staff that work for the team, the sponsors, for Jerry. What's best for the team, and how do I get this group of guys with their own personal ambitions, with their own pasts, and to work together to get the best possible result. So it's kind of different with every rider, on it's try to have clear instructions, clear goals for the races, and then motivate them when needed. And as you say, sometimes it's dampening that down, and sometimes it's actual rev up. It's like we need to get out there. The conditions aren't great, or it's not ideal for us, or we're up against it. How do you get the best out of guys on those days, as well as and sometimes they're all G'd up, and you've got to calm the jets a little bit, make sure they're not.
10 years ago, to give Bling a lift at the Tour, I remember Mihar the Swanee just had to give him a box of Pringles. They used to give him a lift for the next day.
Contraband, wasn't it?
That was contraband. Allowed. That was a big scandal. They were I think the sheriff found a few empty tubs of Pringles, and he said, "Hey, hang on. I've done the stock take. There's a couple of sour cream and chives missing here." What were you going to say, Johnny?
Well, I just wanted to get from Matt his thoughts, just a quick round on the Ronda Tour of Flanders, which I sat up and watched the whole thing. It was an amazing event. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, mate.
Look, we had a little bit of bad luck, and we at the time, you know, as I said, without Bling, we couldn't really endure much bad luck. We had Dries de Puter in the breakaway there, young Belgian guy, a real big ride from him, and he did it really smart to get in that breakaway. He didn't want to be in a small group with the headwind all day towards the climb. So a 12-man group, it was worth being up there. Look, there was quite strong wind. I don't know if you could tell on television, but it was 25 plus km/h, which is enough in this peloton. And we went over the top of Molenberg, and that split, would have loved to have had someone in that split. Bob Donaldson was just outside of it. He's a pretty young rider, was 5th in Ghent-Wevelgem, which was a massive ride for him. And you know, he had to make a decision there. Does he go all in to make that split, knowing that he was trying to race to the finish line? It was still 130k to go, I think, which is very early to have races breaking open like that. And he just missed it. And, you know, normally in that situation, we get one of those big riders miss it as well. But to have all 5 of the team leaders and the biggest riders on the biggest teams that kind of control the race being in that split, the riding was on the wall, and we tried to get, and then up front, an amazing race to see. You know that Pog's going to go every time it goes uphill, and to have Remco there at 5 seconds, just went on all day, and just the Titans just blow for blow, and they just That's
right. In the team car, you probably see less of it than we do, because
well, even that the technology.
I'm very impressed with Remco.
Remco, just to say that he never gave up, like just to be there at 5 seconds against those guys it was kilometers long for ages. Amazing. And for his first time in the Ronde, I mean, he's raced in Belgium before, but, you know, the whole lead up to it, you know, the April Fools, the Red Bull, it was really pretty cool to see. And then he walked the walk, and, you know, he's copped a bit of criticism this year. One being in that new team, he's had a few false starts in races, some really good days and a couple of off days. But he pulled it together, and just to show the tenacity there to just hold them at 5 seconds, 2 of the world's best. First time in Flanders, and to finish on the podium was pretty impressive. You've got to take your hat off to that.
How the crowd's been behaving, Matty? Because remember, famously, you said that if you're standing on the road, you're standing in our office. Have they been behaving themselves?
Well, I was talking to a few yesterday, and we were giving the boys a bit of a rev up for Sunday. I pulled up a photo of the old Quaremont, and just reminded the guys that you get to ride through 50,000 people on the Quaremont and the Patersburg. You do it, 3 times. That's the same as, walking out on the MCG. It's 90,000 there, but the noise, they're a lot closer than the MCG. But we were saying too that, by the last time we went up the old Quaremont, and we were one of the cars down the back, and it's got quite messy. The first time they're pretty tame. The second time they're getting pretty rowdy, and by the third time we go up there, there's a few very, very drunk Belgians.
It's like the last race on Melbourne Cup Day.
It's quite messy. I'm not sure. I think a few of them roll down off the hill.
But more barricades than this year. They had a lot more barricades.
There were. Well, and I mean, I was just mentioning the other day that the first time I did Roubaix, there was actually no barricades on the last few cobbled sections. I reckon it was. I can't remember when they implemented them, but we used to do Carrefour de l'Arbre with no barricades, and it is the closest section to Belgium. So I just remember seeing the tractors would be pulled out into the fields, and just the bars would be set up everywhere. And literally riding down this tunnel, they're just, no joke, this close to your face. You weren't sure. One person put their hand out, they'd clip your handlebars. And we there was no barricades on Carrefour de l'Arbre. And it was great when it was quite scary to ride down. And these guys, we're talking 5, 6 o'clock at night, and they were that drunk. You could just smell the Fritz and the beer on their breath. So luckily now, Yeah, and as we've seen, the sport is getting the speeds. You know, we're adding 10k an hour to the speed everywhere they go. We were crashing hard enough in my time, and now they're crashing 10k an hour quicker. So yeah, safety is a big one as it grows. You know, it's great that it's so accessible to everybody that you can go to Alpe d'Huez and stand on the road and cheer on your rider. But yeah, we just do also need to look after the riders.
100%. Now, let's get the punters fired up for Paris Roubaix, mate. We've already got them fired up talking about what happened 10 years ago. And our thorough research on the Detour, we've got co-pilot to spit out a few of the top picks from your team. They've said Dries de Pulte. They've said, new cobbled engine. He's young, he's hungry, Belgian, he's got good form. Jasha, they've put him up there. They've said Durbo, the veteran cobbled specialist. He'll be thereabouts. Mauro Schmid, the wild card. I've thrown him in there. Yeah, and Andrea.
That's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. But Andrea Van Dram, they've said outsider.
Pretty wild for Mauro since he's on for the Ardennes.
I'll let co-pilot know to update
their information. Update their AI. So lucky I've still got a job then, you know. So co-pilot can't go with the DSing. Could you write me a pre-race meeting too there? Could you just
no worries. No worries, mate.
I'll get Cal O'Brien writing.
What's that?
Cal?
Yeah,
O'Brien.
Cal will be there. Cal will be there. Cal's had a decent classic season. He actually had quite a crash in opening weekend. He was riding a really good race in Newsblood and had to have a couple of weeks downtime. So he hit his head, and we're pretty big on the concussion protocols. So he missed, he came into the season really hot, and he'll be there on Sunday. And I know that it's a special race for him. So hopefully my story, he hasn't had the ideal run in, and it'll be his last race of this block. And, he was in such good form, and to have a couple of weeks off, it's put him a bit on the back foot, but hopefully he can pull out a big one on Sunday.
And so, what is the best tactics to approach? I mean, we've only relaunched, matey. We don't have tens of thousands of people tuning in.
Yeah,
I mean, this is all between mates.
Yeah.
But do you just send a few up the road and hope that you can contain the wild horses coming from behind?
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of that cat's out of the bag too. Once I won it from the break. It's getting to the point where the break is so interesting, and so many guys have had a result from the break that it's almost like one of those Tour de France stages when they know the break's going to go to the line. So it's a world championship race to get, and guys will just finish their race in that first 100k trying to get in the breakaway. It's like I'm either in it or I'm not in the bike race anymore. So. I think we'll have a couple of guys, and maybe Durbo, maybe Kel trying to get up the road a little bit. One of your AI's document there didn't have Dries de Bont in there at all. He was in the breakaway in Ghent-Wevelgem. Had a bike change in Flanders at a really bad point, and actually rode through a lot of groups. I think he's been top 10 maybe in Roubaix before, or was coming into the last year in one of the groups at the front. So he's got quite a pedigree in the race. He's actually in really good form. So Dries de Bont will be our number one guy for Sunday. Hopefully Bob also. What happened there? It's not on your list, is it?
Sorry. No.
No, I just
Johnny.
My battery's about to run out. That was all.
Yeah, but all right. Well, we'll definitely follow Bont then.
Who everyone's talking about a race between the Bog and Van der Poel. And I think the Bog's going to have trouble being Van der Poel because they haven't got those little bergs. But I think the way that Mads Pedersen's coming back, and also Wout van Aert, it's going to be an interesting bike race.
Yeah, I think there he's gone. I think I think you're right. I would be, I'm not a betting man. I'm definitely not allowed to bet. Those two guys, obviously, after the weekend, everyone's going to be focused on Pog and Van der Poel. But for me, another one is Garner. I think Walt van Aert, Garner, and Mads, actually, all of those guys, Roubaix suits them more than Flanders. And if I'm totally honest, Roubaix does not suit Pog as much, but I mean, he is just an absolute, neither does Milan San Remo. And so, yeah, you can't discount him. He was in the position to win it last year. But I think we might find it, hopefully it's a closer race, and it becomes, as I said, a bit more tactical if we have those, all those guys in the final, and it becomes a real tactical race. So it'd be great to see that Garner and Mads and Walt kind of in that mix.
It'd be great to see John as well if he's charged his laptop, but no, he's gone, mate. So that's Iffy's contribution for today.
Professional as always.
Oh, mate. The rebrand has followed the script. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you taking the time, Matty. Now, finally, do you use...
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go. Johnny's back. Yeah, well done, Johnny. You got your charger. I was just going to say, we don't want to keep Matty too long. When are you doing your first recon out there? Today?
Oh, look, I've got a race tomorrow, mate. I've got Skelder Prize tomorrow. So I've got
right.
Race presentation for that. I realise I can do it on AI now instead of actually writing it all out myself.
As I said, if you need any dot points, mate, just send them through and I'll polish them up and send them back. Might get a few names wrong.
I need to notify that Mauro Schmidt's now doing Roubaix, which he'll be...
Yeah, let him know. They've got him down as the wildcard Smoky. So I'll let him know. But do you use, like, most sports now? I mean, we was talking to Jerry the other month, and AFL football are using AI a lot for strategy and tactics. They've been using it for years now in the Premier League. Do they use AI at all in cycling for tactics or anything at all?
I know. Some teams for tactics. We don't at the moment. But it's being incorporated into everything. I think it's I know that there were some teams who were using it to help pick out from the television footage and identify riders and where riders are in the bunch, and doing revision on that as well. So yeah, it's coming into all aspects, and but yeah, if it could just write all these presentations for me, it'd be great.
I reckon if you used it for tactics for Roubaix, it'd be like that scene out of Willy Wonka. Remember when he had that big machine, it just spat out a ticket? It'd be literally getting the breakaway.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, when everybody says they want to do that, it kind of cancels itself out. So hopefully without AI, if everybody does that and I go the other way and say, guys, we're going to do something different, then hopefully there's still some tactics if you can see through that.
100%. If you want to ask Matty anything before we let him go? Oh, now he's you're on mute, mate. You're on. Yeah. So if you've got to connect your mic, mate.
We'll circle back.
Yeah. Well, what I did do, Matty, is I got AI to spit out. We can do music on AI now,
right?
And so we did like a quick little Matty Hayman tribute jingle that it's yours, mate. We'll give you the IP, everything. So we'll give you a little sample, and I'll just put some photos over the top. It does all the style as well. So we wanted obviously something pretty epic, but have a listen, mate.
Thank you.
On the cobbles he was forged, in the dust he came alive. Mad Hayman with a heartbeat, built to fight and survive. From the garage to the glory, wrote his name in the sky. A quiet Aussie legend, with fire in his eyes. Now he leads from the cars, still showing the way, guiding young guns through the chaos of race day. Raise a glass to the man who turned grit into gold. Mad bloody Hayman, forever brave, forever bold.
There you go, Matty. Matt
Thank you
Hayman.
very much.
Forever brave, forever bold. And we
Thank you.
appreciate you jumping on the detour. If his mic's still down, mate, so just do sign language, Johnny. Just give him a thumbs up, mate. Just say thanks for coming.
Thanks, boys, and Jonesy, thanks for the backstage pass that lives with me. It's becoming my core memory of that race. You know, that's what I look back on, and now I've got this song to add to it.
Yeah, mate. As I said, and you fully own the IP. I'll re-edit it over the backstage for you and send it across.
Thank you.
Good on you,
Thanks,
mate.
boys.
Cheers, mate.